What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Beasley. Hope you all are staying productive and motivated. I'm coming at you guys today with an Insecure review, Season 4, Episode 5, Lowkey Moving On. So, I will say this episode was absolutely fantastic. I loved it from start to finish. So getting started, again, I didn't have a specific look of the week that I loved. Everybody was at the block party looking real pedestrian. But I will say I do love the way they style Issa's hair. Her hairstyles are an inspiration to the natural nation. So we start off this episode with Issa. She's up late at night, stressed and depressed. She just has like a lot of anxiety about this block party. She's really trying to figure out like, oh shit, this thing is tomorrow and I don't have a headlining act for this block party. So for some reason she decides to go ahead and DM Nathan because she sees like his story or his Instagram page. And he responds with a quickness, and I'm just like, okay, so you couldn't respond to her messages last season, but you responded with a quickness to these. But whatever, nigga. So he responds and he tells her to call him instead, and Issa obliges. So she calls him, and the conversation is very, it's like, hey, how you doing? I honestly am kind of annoyed that she didn't really hold him to task and ask, like, why did you ghost me a few months back? Like, what the fuck happened? Like, what's going on with you? But anyways, like, she has other problems, so I guess she didn't want to add to her stress. But she talks to Nathan, and Nathan somewhat congratulates her and tells her that he's really proud about this block party. Like, this was just a little idea that I gave you while we were both high, and you took it and ran with it, and now here it is. Like, it's going to be great. And Issa, she hears his words, but in the back of her head, she's like, I don't have an artist for this party. What if people don't show up? Like, she's really just afraid of, like, all the negatives that would happen tomorrow. And then also in the conversation, Nathan proceeds to ask Issa, how is her relationship with Molly? And Issa just be honest. She's like, honestly, the last time we talked, it wasn't great. And honestly and truthfully, I don't fuck with Molly. And I don't fuck with Molly the maid either. We're going to get into that later in this episode. So next we see Molly, and she is like stressed out trying to find an outfit for this block party. And the first line out of her mouth is like, maybe we shouldn't go. Like, I don't even know what to wear to this. And Issa didn't even show up to my congratulation dinner back when she passed the bar or something. And I'm just like, okay, she didn't show up to your party back then, but like, this isn't like a whole like you passing the bar, that's a big moment, yes. I want my friend to be there, yes. But like you can't put your pettiness aside and not be tit for tat and just be there and support this lady like throughout this whole entire endeavor. But no, she wants to be a selfish ass bitch. Man, sit your ass down, fake ass Tony Childs. So Andrew's like, just pick something nice to wear. Like, what else would you wear when it's 75 degrees out in Los Angeles? Like, this is going to be a fun event. Like, just show up to it and support your best friend. Andrew, honestly, throughout this episode was really like Team Issa, and he's on the right team. And hopefully, he breaks up with Molly later on down the line. So we see Issa, the block party has finally arrived. It is come to fruition. It's here. We see Issa in boss mode. Like everybody's taking orders from her. And she's just having a great, like, well, she's stressed out and she's still a little scared, but like she has a brave face on and she knows she's gonna get through this whole entire endeavor. So we see Kelly at the step and repeat trying to do a cheerleading stunt stance. This shit was hilarious. Like Kelly is just so fucking crazy to me. So she goes over there, and then Kelly and Tiffany do like a little Charlie's Angels poses for the gram, and it really goes to show that them three could probably carry on and be cool without Molly around. Like honestly, Molly's really not needed anymore, and hopefully after this episode, them two decide not to fuck with her either. Because Molly is just a problem child at this point. She does not need to be around. Like, fuck her ass. So in the midst, Kelly is really singing Issa her praises. Like she's like Kelly's being honest. Like she's like, I honestly didn't really see the vision at first, but this is amazing. Like this is a great look. And while in the midst of she's congratulating Issa, she just randomly out of nowhere starts speaking in a British accent. And then we see her date walk over, and then Kelly's like, hey, like met this guy. I talked to him with this accent, and I just ran with it ever since. Like, just go with it. So she ends up greeting the date, and like she just like in this British accent the whole time. Like Kelly is just fucking hilarious. So we see Issa. Also, she sees Condola off in the distance, and she decides to walk up to her. And at first, I thought she was gonna confront Condola, but she handled it like in a very, very like she handled it way nicer than I would have. I would have been like, "Bitch, where you been? Like, what's going on?" But Condola, she tells Issa that she mainly just showed up to check on the vendors and make sure that everything was good to go for the event. And then Issa kind of cuts the bullshit. She's like, Condola, like, what happened? Like, I thought we were doing really good, and I don't know if I said anything to offend you, but like, you just disappeared. Like, what's going on? And then Condola's like, oh, well, Lawrence didn't tell you? And Issa was like, no, tell me what? And then Condola's like, oh, yeah, well, we broke up. So and then she didn't even really like apologize for ghosting either Issa either. Like that's the second person that did not apologize to Issa for their actions and how they treated her. But like Condola basically like wishes Issa the best and then walks off. And this is probably the last time we see Condolences, and I hope so too. Like fuck her as well. So they walk off, and then Issa asks Tiffany, "So did you know about Lawrence and Condola breaking up?" And Tiffany was like, "Oh no, I didn't know about that at all, honestly." And then Derek chimes in like, "Oh, they broke up? Lawrence didn't tell me shit." And it's just like, damn, like both didn't inform anybody, like any of their friends that they just like broke up with somebody they were dating. Like, especially because Tiffany and Condola worked with each other, so that topic never came up when they were at work. Like what's going on? I guess Kelly. I mean, I guess Condola was kind of like just fuck all y'all. Like I'm done. Like it really shows that Condola's unprofessional and she is somewhat threatened by Issa, and Issa is just sitting there like she really had no clue going on like what was going on. So it's just like Condola, get out your fucking feelings, bitch. Like she almost sabotaged this event, but leave that to somebody else later on. So we see Issa, she's whisked away. She goes and she's talked to the press. She's excited because like actual press showed up. Like they didn't invite press, but like hey, like let's go get an interview. So the interviewer is like asking Issa questions, and Issa basically says that this event is just like a great positive moment to showcase Black excellence. And then the interviewer turns around and she's like, "Oh yeah, it's a very diverse crowd." And there's like nothing but white people there. Like that shit was hilarious. And it just goes to show, like, white people just flock to anything that's lit, namely, like, anything that involves us. I love my white people, but, like, can we just have something for us for once? Like, goddamn. So that interview ends, and then Issa's like, oh, so where can I see? Like, when will this interview be aired? And she's like, oh, yeah, it'll be aired on my YouTube channel. And then Issa's like, oh, okay, well, what's the name of it? And she was like, I don't know yet. I just started it. And it's just like, but you got a whole camera crew. She's like, oh, yeah. I want it to look official. And I'm just like, okay, bitch. I mean, you gotta fake it till you make it. I'm not even mad at her ass. So we see Molly, Kelly, and Tiffany. They're sitting over there talking. And then Issa walks over and then she awkwardly hugs Molly. It was like the driest hug I've ever seen. Like, can you say Sahara? And then Issa's like, oh, I honestly didn't think you were gonna come. And then Molly's like, of course I was. Like, I'm your best friend. Ugh, fake ass bitch, please. And then Issa's brother Amal walks over. I finally figured out his name. Like I honestly did not know Issa's brother's name this whole entire time. So Amal walks over. He greets everybody, except for Kelly. And it is just hilarious. Like them two and their back and forth is just so fucking funny. I wish that we could get a backstory on why Kelly and Amal don't fuck with each other, but it just makes for great comedic relief of the show. Like I absolutely love it. So, in the midst of that, we see Derek and Tiffany off to the side. And then Derek gets a call from the babysitter, and then, like, basically, like, the babysitter can't control the baby, like, it's going crazy, and then, basically, the babysitter can't do her fucking job, so she calls for them to come home. And then Derek's like, hey, Tiffany, we need to go home. And then Tiffany's like, oh, no, man, we just got here. Like, I mean, you could go home. I'm going to stay here and have fun. And Derek is like, okay, cool, whatever. And I wonder if that's gonna develop into like a postpartum storyline for Tiffany. Like, is she gonna is she gonna want to like party with her friends like she used to and miss her old life over being a mom? That would be like a great little subplot, but we only get bits and pieces here and there for the secondary characters with Insecure. So we see Molly and Andrew. They're sitting back and they're really appreciating the work that Issa put in. And in the back of of Molly's head, in my opinion, I feel like she was just being a little bit like, "Oh yeah, Issa accomplished this without me." Like I just got jealousy from Molly. Really, like she was just agreeing with Andrew, but like I just saw it all over her face. Like she's a jealous ass bitch. And also, I forgot to mention before that the first performance had started. So we pan back to Kelly and her date, and then Amal walks over, and then he questions Kelly in her British accent. He's like, "So what part of Great Britain are you from?" And then she says, "Oh, I'm from Poppycock, from South Central London." And I'm just like, "Girl, bye, whatever." And then he's like, "Oh, okay. So what do you think about Brexit?" And then she's like, "Oh, well, Brexit is boring. I want to know more about the American government." So when I tell you this scene had me on the floor, Kelly's date said, "Well, in America, there are two branches of government. The first branch is the presidential government, the presidential branch, and then the second branch is the bank branch. We call it the Bank of America branch." And I'm just like, "Nigga, what?" Honestly, if you judge by how stupid everybody is today in this country, that's honestly a believable answer coming out from like the common citizen of this fucking country. Cause, woo, child. I mean, you can fix pretty, but dumb is forever. So we see Issa again. There's another performance on stage, and then she runs into her ratchet neighbor. I call her Shanae. And then she, once again, like everybody else, congratulates Issa, like, "Oh, wow, look at you, tap dancing for the white folk." And then Issa's like, "What the fuck?" And then they camera pans over to the girl doing tap dancing on the stage. That shit was so fucking hilarious. Again, I'm glad that they fit her into every episode. She is just hilarious to me. So Nate arrives as well, and then, like everybody else, he's singing her praises too. And again, I'm still annoyed that she did not confront him about him ghosting her, but she's at her event, so it is what it is. I mean, we could probably, hopefully, that conversation comes up for a later date. I don't know where they're gonna go next with Issa and Nathan, but I think she should just be a friend to him. Like, don't take him seriously dating at all, because I feel like he's gonna end up hurting her feelings all over again. So in the process, we see Molly. She brings Issa food, and then she tries to talk to her to get Issa's attention. And right before they talk, Issa's assistant comes over and whisks her away because she has to go backstage to meet Vince. So again, that's another moment where them two don't get to talk. But again, not the right fucking place. So we see Issa backstage, and she runs into her old neighbor from the dunes, the blood replaces like every single name with a B in front of it. That nigga is so fucking funny to me. I would love to see him every season. I think we've seen him every season so far. Well, hopefully he comes in like next season, like like here and there, a little cameo. He's very appreciated in my opinion. So Issa talks to her main artist by the name of Vint. I don't know if he's a real artist in real life, like a local Los Angeles artist. Maybe, who knows? But she basically he congratulates her too, like, "Oh wow, like this is like a really nice setup," and he appreciates the fact that he got everything that Issa got him everything on his rider that he requested. And let's see, moving on along, we see there's a dance battle on stage. Very, very funny scene. It's like an old man versus like this little girl, and the little girl was getting it at first. Like they were both doing the damn thing, and then the man proceeds to do the split and wins the competition. But the funny thing about that scene was that nigga couldn't even get up. Like he had to have all his other geriatric friends come and help him up. Like that shit was fucking hilarious. Alrighty, so then there's another dance sequence. We see everyone doing the wobble while eating fried chicken. Like it was a very fun scene. Like that's just like the national black like party dance that everybody does. And then in this beautiful moment, which I thought everything would be buried after this. We see Issa and Molly dance together and really just embrace each other and just have a good time. Like everything is just on cloud nine at this point. And then after that, we see Issa get on stage. I thought she was gonna give another like heartfelt speech like she gave in the first episode this season, but the crowd was like Vince, 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 Vince. So she just like, oh fuck it, okay. Coming to the stage is Vince, and then that performance happens. So in the midst of that performance happened, well, basically after that, everybody's kind of just like standing around talking, and it's pretty much the end of the event. Like everybody, things are kind of just winding down. And then one of the promoters goes up to Andrew and he thanks Andrew for like inviting their artist to the event. Like and then Molly's like, wait a minute. You helped Issa with this? And he was like, oh yeah, well technically Nate asked me to help, but I helped her secure the artist for this event. And Molly's like, oh, so she went behind my back. And then Andrew's looking at her like, what's the problem? And then she ignores him and walks over to Issa and confronts her. And then she was like, she talks to Issa like, so you just defied my wishes and defied my boundaries and you went and asked my man for help anyways. And she was like, well, and then Issa's like, well, you were willing to let me fail instead of helping me on something that's so important. And then Issa's also like, you've seen me struggle, you've seen me be like at my worst, and now that I'm trying to elevate myself in my life, you're just not trying to help me whatsoever. Like, what the fuck is the problem? And then Molly's like, bitch, you always need a problem. I mean, you always have an issue. Like, you always need a favor. Like, I'm always the one helping you. And Issa's like, wow, so that's how you really feel. So things get heated and them two almost come to fucking blows. And when I tell you I was so disgusted and pissed off with Molly, I no longer see it for her. She is not my favorite character anymore. They've drawn a line in the sand. Molly is the villain of this show. She is the antagonist, and she is not to be fucking trusted. I don't fuck with that two-faced rag ass bitch. Like, I cannot stand her. Like, of all the times to address this, you do this at her event. Everything was running smooth, and leave it to Molly's negative ass to really fuck up the vibe. Molly is bitter. She's negative. She's an asshole. I do not like her at all. Like, you really had to fuck up this event, did you? Because it had nothing to do with you, because you didn't help, because Issa did this on her own. Now you feel some type of way. Like, what kind of friend does some shit like that? Like, that was some foul ass bullshit. Fuck Molly for life. Like, I don't see it for her fake ass wannabe Tony Childs looking ass, or old big headed ass bitch. I cannot stand Molly. Molly is the absolute worst. She finds a way or a rhyme or a reason to fuck up something in her life. Even when things are going great, she just can't help but have some form of turmoil in her life. She is just a toxic ass bitch, and I hope Andrew leaves her. I hope she's never happy, and I hope she gets fired from her job. Fuck her. I don't know where they're going to go with this show moving forward, but I don't want Molly to get written off, but she needs to be, somebody needs to check her ass. Like, I was hoping Issa at least, like, two-pieced her ass one good time. Like, somebody needs to haul off and whip the dog shit out of Molly. Like, that was some foul-ass bullshit. This episode was on motherfucking point. I absolutely loved it from start to finish. I give it a 10 out of 10. Hopefully, I've noticed with Insecure, one or two episodes out of each season is phenomenal. I mean, I guess she wants to give us the greatness in small doses, but it's working, girl. I absolutely love this episode. It honestly was my favorite in the entire series. Tens across the board, bitch. Issa, you wrote the fuck out of this episode. Those are my views. Let me know what you guys think down below. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so they can throw my ass in the algorithm. And I'm going to come at you guys with more content. I may do a review on the Atlanta Housewives. There was a lot going on in that episode. But until then, be sure to look out for my content. Love you all.